Morning. Excuse me. The Board of Pardons is called to order. Today is Monday, November 18th, 2024. The time is 9:01 a.m. Could we call the roll, please?
Mr. Knoxville?
Present.
Ms. Stapleton?
Present.
Mr. Tilley?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Here.
Mr. Freed?
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We are at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge today. Our first item on the agenda is under regular business is review and approval of the minutes from our Monday, September 30th regular meeting that were included in your packet. Are there any corrections?
No, Madam Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of 9/30/2024.
And I'll second. We have a motion by Mr. Freeman, a second by Mrs. Stapleton to approve the minutes for Monday, September 30th, 2024. Is there any objection? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. And we will have public comment. We will allow public comment on request before any action is taken on any case. And so we're ready to proceed with our first case this morning. That's Mr. Reddock. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good.
Good.
Would you introduce yourself, sir? Tell us your name and your current mailing address.
My name is John Andrew Reddock. My current mailing address is 113 Farming Drive, Lafayette, LA, 70507.
Good morning. And I think you may have a little explanation of how the process will work. Let's
Yes,
just go over it again real quick. I'll read some identifying information into the record, ask you to verify it. Then we want you to tell us why you believe you deserve favorable consideration today.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Mr. Freeman, your case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman, so he'll take the lead on the interview questions.
Awesome.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
assuming, I want to welcome, this is your wife,
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Rebecca Reddock. Good morning. Thanks for being here. And it indicates that you do not want to speak. You're just here in support, or do you want to say a few words? Okay. All right. All right. So let's just get started. Mr. Reddock. You are here this morning seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms.
Yes.
You were sentenced in the 16th Judicial District Court, St. Mary Parish, in December 19, 2012 for indecent behavior with juveniles. That was a plea agreement. You received 7 years hard labor. It was suspended. You were placed on 5 years probation.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So take a moment, please, Mr. Reddock, and tell us why are you seeking this relief and why do you think we should vote favorably?
Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for seeing me today. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. I've considered that question would be asked. I've worked very diligently the past, now December being 12 years, being registered sex offender and all, to be a successful person in society, to be a better benefit to my community. So since then, once everything transpired and I took the plea deal, I went to counseling. I met regularly with my pastors at the time, and just immediately started working on doing what I could to make myself a better person than I was at the time of making these serious mistakes that not only hurt me, but it hurt my family, it hurt my friends, and brought a lot of disappointment to them, which was very heartbreaking. But since then, relationships have been restored. I've gotten married now. We've been married 3.5 years now. Our first child is on the way. And one of the main and most important reasons to me to have a pardon received is so that I can continue to be a productive member in our community and our society, but also set a better example for my wife and our children and our family, and also not to have this burden hanging over our heads for the rest of my life and our lives together, so that we can maybe move forward in just being free, being able to do whatever without, I hate to use the term, looking over my shoulder, because I'm not doing anything wrong. but just that cloud being lifted would be a great relief to me, to my wife, to our unborn child right now, but also to my family and to my friends who are looking forward to hearing from me after this hearing today.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Reddick, how long do you have to register for?
A total of 15 years. December will be 12 years, so I'll have 3 more years to register starting in January.
Okay, and as you said, it was a plea bargain, correct?
Correct.
And I know you did excellent on probation. I've read your records. You said you was denied life insurance? I mean,
Yes, sir.
that's
At
hard for
one
me to
point I
believe.
was.
Okay,
I think from what I could gather with the life insurance people that I had talked to at that time, it seemed that the companies that he had tried to get me life insurance with were just nervous because of the criminal background aspect of it. Apparently, some insurance companies don't want to cover someone that has been affiliated with criminal behavior.
that just caught me because I didn't think they had the power to run a criminal rap sheet.
Yeah, well, they do a background check.
Okay.
Since then, though, I have acquired life
Okay,
insurance
great.
since the filling out of this application.
Okay, do you drink anymore?
No, sir.
Okay, when's the last time you had a drink?
June 30th, 2012.
June 20th, okay. And you quit drinking, did you have to go to counseling or anything, or any
No,
help?
sir.
Did he
The
help?
counseling that I needed more of at the time was mental and emotional counseling at the time, I believe. Drinking wasn't really the problem. It was more of my attitude in it. That night that I drank and got in trouble, I had purpose to abuse alcohol that night. Since then, absolutely no abuse, from June 30th of 2012.
So this all went on in one day, like
Well, yes, sir.
3 or 4 hour period. Y'all
Yes,
was
sir.
texting and then
Yes, sir.
okay, and stuff went back and forth, and then you went to meet her and they arrested you, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
I have no further questions.
Any other questions? Mrs. Secretary?
Have any, because he covered the questions that I had. He did. Oh, one question. What is the line of work you intend to pursue as a result of, if you were, well, but the pardon, you said a pardon, you want a pardon so that it could make your sex registry go away. A pardon will not do that. Did you know that?
I wasn't fully aware. There's been a little bit of back and forth with some law enforcement and a few lawyers that I've spoken with. I can never get a for sure answer on that aspect of it. But I just kind of considered either way it was going to help me moving forward one way or the other.
Well, in a few years, you can pursue that because no person convicted of a sex offense as defined by RS 15:541 are determined to be sexually violent predator, which you weren't, or a child predator under the provisions that are listed, shall be exempt from the registration requirements of 15:542 as a result of a pardon under the provision of this subsection.
Okay.
So, and you got 3 years left that you will regardless have to register as a sex offender.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just wanted to know if you realize that, because you did mention that.
Correct.
That's the only thing that I wanted to see if that had been clarified in your life.
Yes, ma'am. And to answer your question too, what would this pardon do for me? Like, is there a career or something that I'm following?
Yeah.
In the near future, I am looking to move to Indiana with my family, as I've been offered like an executive assistant position at a church where I would be over their worship, leading their media, different departments in the church. So this would help, and I figured it would kind of help in moving forward with that as well. The church does know, the leadership of the church does know of my current criminal background situation and everything. They actually called me this morning and prayed with me this morning, hoping for a favorable outcome. So once again, I have people in my corner. That's, so
Okay, well,
thank you.
thank you, sir, very
Yes, ma'am.
much.
I don't see any other
I want
questions.
to ask a question.
Okay.
You wanted to carry a gun?
Yes, sir.
Why?
I do believe that in the Second Amendment rights according to the Constitution, which I'm grateful for. I do believe that I'd like to teach my children to hunt and things of that nature as well. So yeah, I have no intention to do anyone harm in any way, form, or fashion. It's just having a pardon and having gun restoration, firearm restoration, to me would be like another area of this has been lifted up off of you as much as possible.
Do you hunt now?
Yes, sir.
You used to?
Yes, sir.
What? What did you hunt?
Mostly deer.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm the worst.
Prepared to vote, Mr. Green?
How old were you when this occurred?
22.
22.
22. And how old was, female was reported to have been 16?
Correct.
I mean,
All right, you prepared to vote, Mr. Green?
Okay, Mr. Reddick, you put on a great case today, and I'm congratulations on your family
Thank
coming.
you.
My problem is that I'll be more than happy to look at it once you finish your registration, but I'm firm believer in sex offender registration. It's there to protect others. I'm not saying you a threat anymore because that was one time when you was drunk, but today I would have to vote to deny.
Mrs. Stapleton?
I would have to vote to deny also. And you do have opposition from the DA, Sheriff of St. Mary Parish, and Lafayette. So for those reasons also, but I do wish you well.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
Man, you're impressive.
Mr. Tillis?
I concur.
Mr. Prater?
I concur. I think we would look awful as a board in what we're supposed to do if we gave you a pardon prior to your your registration period being over mandated.
Mr. Reddick, you've received 4 votes that were not favorable to your application. So
Yes.
today your application's been denied. Should you choose to reapply at such time as you no longer apply to register?
Thank you so much. Thank you again for seeing.
And
us.
good luck. You.
Yes, very much.
We
good luck.
applaud you for all your hard work. I know it's been hard. I know it's an awful situation, but
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
yes,
You have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
All right, we are ready for our next case. Mr. Robinson, good morning. Would you introduce yourself, sir? Tell us your name and your current mailing address.
My name is Jerry Robinson, current mailing address 30475 Western Way Road, Angie, Louisiana, zip code 70426.
Good morning, Mr. Robinson. I'm sure they explained the process. Let me just go real quickly over it. I'll read some identifying information into the record, ask you to verify that it's correct. Then we'd like for you to tell us why you applied for our relief and why you think we should vote favorably for you. And then your case is being assigned to Mr. Tillis to my far left. He will take the lead on the interview question. Ready? All right. Mr. Robinson, you are here seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms. You were convicted in the 15th Judicial District, Lafayette Parish, in October 2014 for attempted and conspiracy of possession with intent to distribute cocaine. You received a 10-year sentence that was suspended and you were placed on 5 years probation. Is that information correct? All right, sir. Tell us why'd you submit your application and why do you think we should vote favorably for you today?
Well, I submitted my application because I wanted my firearms rights back. I mean, there have been times I've been on the road and thought it would be nice to be a nurse, but that was the sole reason the main reason I submitted my pardon application was to get my firearms back.
Okay. All right. Well, would you answer Mr. Tiller's questions, please, sir?
Morning, how are you today?
Pretty good, a little nervous, but I'm all right.
Don't be nervous. Tell me something about this. You were selling drugs?
Yes, sir.
Were you using them?
No, sir.
Okay, so how long have you been selling drugs?
I got introduced to selling drugs around 16 years old. And I did it up until about I got arrested my first time selling drugs when I was around 20, so about 2010. And I got a job, kept me going for about 2 years and started back, it didn't last long and charged on it for the application.
Okay, so you were arrested twice for selling drugs?
Yes, sir.
You sold drugs that long and never used them?
I mean, I use marijuana. No hard, not cocaine.
Okay. And you kind of stated briefly about why you need a firearm.
Yes, sir. Oh, why do I need a firearm? Well, I got a lot of wants, like majority of people y'all probably interviewed, I want to go hunting. I just want back because I want back my rights back before back how they was before I messed my life up. But I think the most reason of necessity I have to want my firearm rights back is in 2019 my father passed, and I'm from Angie, Louisiana. Man, very cheap and plentiful. He left me 16 acres of land to keep up. A lot of times I'm so far away from everyone, clearing the fence line or cutting down a rotten tree or just running stuff that
I see.
keeping up the land. And I prefer like it would be nice to have like some type of protection between me and any animals I may run across or choose to fight over. Like
Yeah. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a trucker.
Truck driver? I think you said you bought your own truck?
Yes, sir. Between 2017 and 2022, I had my trucking business.
Okay. All right. I have no more questions.
Yeah.
When did your supervision end? When did you get off probation?
They gave me a 5-year
Probation.
sentence for probation. I applied for early termination release. I forgot the particular name was called early
Termination.
early termination at about 2.5 years. So that's when they granted it up.
They granted early termination. That's all.
You say in here that this charge has been expunged already.
So,
And so that the only thing left to get is your firearm restoration. Is that correct? Is that the way you understand it? Since it's been expunged, it's the same as a pardon?
No, sir, I understand that it's not the same as pardon. Expungement basically is for employers. I haven't had any problems with employers getting jobs and bringing up my past criminal record, so I'm not allowed to own a firearm just with expungement. I would also need an expungement and a pardon to get a firearm. From my understanding.
Yeah, so that's what I was, I wasn't, I was just trying to understand for my own good, the difference between an expungement and a pardon,
Yes,
as far as what you were told.
Yes, sir. Expungement, from my understanding, is basically just for Florida. In Louisiana.
And so all you really interested in today, more than anything, is the gun.
Basically.
So you said in here that in your application that you feel your arrest and conviction has made you a better person.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
explain that?
Well, I can't begin to explain to you or articulate how terrified I am of doing crime, of being around anyone around that participate in crime, but I don't have those worries of what comes with doing crime anymore due to this arrest. And as far as I'm concerned, I've kind of got out unscathed, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have to do any prison time and nothing like that, so it was a big benefit to my life. It's a lot of hardship and come with that type of lifestyle. Yeah, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I thought you got off light too. Really? You need to know there is opposition when we, do the investigation. We do reach out to the local community, and there's opposition from the district attorney in Lafayette. In the 22nd Judicial District in Franklinton, also there's opposition. Lafayette sheriffs opposed. The Washington Parish, the former sheriff is opposed, and the chief of police in Lafayette all expressed opposition. And I'm sure that has to do with the quantity of drugs that you have.
Yeah, I mean,
Potential.
police department, pretty sure they are always 9 times out of 10 opposed to.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't think it will fix it.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions. Are we prepared to vote, Mr. Tillins?
Yes, my vote is to grant out, restoration of power.
Mr. Craig?
I think the expungement, and I think, okay, without restoration of firearms, for sure. And I think your expungement has done everything that you needed to do. And so since I'm not doing the firearms, I might as well not do the pardon.
Mr. Freeman?
My vote is to deny based on the fact that he has not had a long enough cleansing period. I mean, he's only been off supervision about 6-7 years. And, it was pretty violent. They had to arrest him with a taser and everything, and he's had guns twice with drugs. So my vote is to deny.
Mrs. Stapleton?
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the same thing Mr. Freeman brought up. Since we know about the 2010 arrest and then the 2013 major arrest with major drugs. And that was coming from Beaumont, Texas to Angie, Louisiana. Is that the I-10 corridor they always talk about? Drug and human trafficking corridor. So that's, and then like Mr. Freeman said, and Ms. Renata, I mean, you had a major amount of drugs. Then you've had some problems since then. Based upon that, although I do want to commend you that you started your own trucking company, but I hope and pray that it's always a good, clean trucking company that is not used for what, your arrest was, so.
We definitely make that.
Okay, well, that's good. So I'm gonna vote to deny today, but that doesn't mean you can't come back in the future when there's a longer period of time and a clean arrest record that's long. That's what I'm looking for. So my vote today is to deny.
All right, Mr. Robinson, so you've received one favorable vote, three that were not favorable to your application. So the outcome for today is that your application has been denied. So good luck to you.
Appreciate y'all time.
Yes, sir.
All right, good morning. Yeah. I think we're ready for our next case, Mr. Taylor.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Taylor. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your current mailing address, please, sir.
Name is Donald Taylor. Current address is 11061 South Bayou View Drive, Gonzales, Louisiana, 70737.
All right, Mr. Taylor, let me introduce the pardon board to you. My name is Cheryl Renanza. Seated to my far left is Mr. Chucky Tillis, my immediate left, Mr. Steve Prater, to my immediate right, Mr. Pete Freeman, and to his right is Ms. Carolyn Stapleton. Let me acknowledge the folks who've joined us by Zoom.
Yes, ma'am.
We have your sister Angela Taylor, another sister Victoria Taylor, both of whom want to speak on your behalf. We have another sister, Kimberly Taylor, and your brother Milton Holiday, who are here in support but will not be speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
First, I'm gonna read some information into the record, Mr. Taylor. I ask you to verify if it's correct or not. Then we'd like for you to tell us why you submitted your application for relief and why do you think we should vote favorably for you today. And then we'll have Mrs. Stapleton take the lead on the interview questions once you've told us all that information. You
Yes,
ready?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Taylor, you have submitted an application for a pardon with restoration of firearms. You were sentenced in the 19th Judicial District Court in East Baton Rouge Parish, February of 2000 for illegal use of a weapon or dangerous instrumentality. You received a 5-year DOC sentence. Is that information correct, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
All right. So tell us, sir, why are you seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms?
I'm seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms. First of all, I can say I was young. I committed a crime. I served my time. I did I think 9 months in parole. I went through life, still learning to be an adult because I went in at 17, actually as a teenager. I did all I can to become a man, do things positive. Working, started a family, got married. And up until a few years ago, I was just reading on just getting all my rights back as a person for the United States. And I filled out the information. I would like to have all my rights back, not only just for protection of my family. My wife also, she owned a firearm. And I just want to make sure that I abide by all the rules that's for the courts of the United States, may I be in the car with my wife and she have her firearm. I don't want to be around the firearm and I don't have rights to have one or be around one. I'm not saying that crime is always bad, but I have had a few issues with crime in my neighborhood and things of that nature. And just overall, I would like to protect my family, protect myself. I do a lot of traveling with working. I do plant construction. I'll be on the road driving from Texas to Louisiana, different states. I have traveled to Florida, Tennessee. And I do have to set up some hotels where, things are not always good. So that's part of it, honestly. And my main purpose is I would like to just have my complete rights back as a U.S. citizen.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. Let's hear from the folks your sisters who want to speak on your behalf. We'll do that
Yes,
to start our interview. Could we first hear from Miss Angela Taylor?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Angela Taylor. I am Donald's sister. And I totally agree with all of his sentiments. I do feel as if that he has learned his lesson. He is a productive citizen in society. He is a very instrumental figure in our family as a father figure for my sons. He stepped in and he is there with his sons. We are a firearm family, and a lot of times we are concerned about him being around them. I do have them in my house. I always have them in my cars. So we have to limit our access to our brother because of what is on the books. I do, as a fire law enforcement professional who have firearms in their home, I do feel as if when a person has served their debt to society and have been completely rehabilitated and has represented themselves as a productive member of society, properly educated themselves, that they should be afforded all of their rights back as a U.S. citizen.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Let's hear from Miss Victoria Taylor.
Good morning. I'm here to speak on behalf of my brother, Donald Taylor. Unfortunately, he did get into some trouble as a youth, but since then, upon his release, he has been a very productive member of society. I am so amazed. I'm so proud of him. The growth, unfortunately, sometimes bad things have to happen in order for us to grow. And he has grown. Very upstanding gentleman. I can't even put in words of how proud I am of him and how he has conducted himself, married, 3 kids. And I just pray that you guys pardon him for the mistakes he made when he was younger.
All right, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your remarks as well. Mrs. Stapleton?
Good morning, sir. I'll have your case today.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got some questions for you. Okay, so you were 17 years old at the time this took place, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then your age today, what is it?
43.
43, okay, that's what I had. I just wanted to make sure. Now, so this happened 24 years ago, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, so that's important to me. Now, what I've got is that you were with some friends at the movie theater.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2 other young men, y'all were all teenagers, it sounded like, it didn't specify.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2 other guys, I don't think they knew you and you didn't know them, is that correct?
I didn't know them at the time. No, ma'am.
Right, so words were exchanged, what happened there?
At the time, like I say, I was there with it was my cousin and one guy I went to school with, and the guy I went to school with, it was his friend, and we was there at it was called Bar Marché Mall at the time, and had the arcade and movie theater. And me and the guy I went to school with, we was having a disagreement about something about school or whatnot, and the other guys, they just started like talking and saying, a lot of things. And I was like, I didn't know what was going on. So one of the guys walked up to where I was at, while I was sitting down. And, he was saying, what he would do to someone, and him being a killer and things of that nature. And honestly, I didn't know him at the time. I didn't know what he was capable of doing. And I was young, and I was in school, but still at the time, being a little hard headed and things of that nature. He walked out the door and he was like, I'm going to my car. Wait till I come from my car. And so I took that as a threat. At the time, at age I am now, I have time to think like, hey, let's find a different way to avoid the situation. At that age, and be honest with you, my way of thinking was kind of just like having tunnel vision. Is he really going to his vehicle and retrieve something? And so that's when I went to the vehicle we was at, and me at 17, carrying a gun didn't supposed to happen. So I was completely wrong for that. I did discharge the firearm, and he got hit and his cousin got hit. And like I said, I went turned myself in whenever the police was looking for me. I actually was working at the time, and it came to the school, which is, I look back at it, I can say that's crazy, because I was going to school, I was working, I was doing things positive, but at the same time, I had a part of my life that I chose to just make some bad decisions, and after that, I was arrested, and the conviction, and did my time from there. But that pretty much sums it up with the situation that happened that night.
So it was your gun that you had? Your
It
friends?
was, it was a gun that I received from someone, off the street. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, and so the other people, they left it and they went and gotten their mother's car. So they
Correct.
left their mother. Did you see that? I mean, you saw a woman driving them away.
Honestly,
You didn't care?
I didn't know that they was in a car with their mother. To be honest with you, I didn't find that out until I was arrested and I started getting details of the case, you
Yeah.
know, and information. Like I said, I didn't know because he said he was going to his car and retrieve a firearm. And which now that I look, well, I'm saying now, but when I actually got the details of it, I kind of felt like, wow, it was maybe it was just a threat of, teenagers just saying things.
Trash talk.
Yeah,
That's all it was. It was trash talk.
right. And at the time, I didn't know, and I can't blame my upbringing because I did grow up in a rough area, and I did witness a lot of things of violence and people hurting each other, whatnot. So I felt like that was a threat. That was just me having that mindset, thinking that he was, serious about his threat, which he wasn't.
Yes.
But at the time, like I said, I just made that decision, and it was a wrong decision I made.
You shot 2 bullets. That's all you shot.
Yes.
Twice.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were hanging out the window, so you were intentionally shooting in the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Because one of them shot one boy in the arm and the other one in the knee. Later on, when you go to court and stuff like that, was there any kind of restitution, or did you hear what was the long-term effect of the gunshots? I mean, I've had victims, they were shot in the arm and 5 years, and they've had 5 surgeries since then, or shot in the leg, and it just crushed their bones. And so they were never the same again. And then others that it went through the flesh, and thank the good Lord, they didn't have those, the victim didn't have the huge consequences. Did you hear anything when you went into court about what was the consequences for your victims?
Honestly, I didn't receive any of that information. I'm not sure due to the way the case went. Originally, my family tried to get a lawyer. They paid like so much money up front, and I think he was removed off the case, and I received a public defender. And I think I had, within like a year, I had about 10 court dates. So a lot of my court dates, I was going in there and it was just reset. One court date, they offered probation, and then they came back and it was like, it was new evidence of a statement, and then it was the 5-year sentence that was on the table. Victim wise, never really had a chance to get any information on their status. Like you asked, did it affect their life?
Well, 24 years ago, to be perfectly frank, I was just really wondering, 24 years ago, victims didn't have much of a voice in court. Right. Our law had the victim impact statement, but it really wasn't enforced.
Right.
I saw victims go in, or they would tell me they went in and a plea bargain was reached, and then they went to court for nothing, which
Correct.
was not our crime victims law. But I was just curious. Now, one thing you should know is one of your victims is unopposed for your pardon.
Say that again?
I said one of your victims is unopposed to your pardon.
Okay.
The other one could not be reached. So this is all these 24 years later. And then the DA is unopposed to your pardon, but not with restoration of firearms. And the sheriff's office and BRPD, they had no comment. So that's set aside. It does look like you moved on. It says you got your GED, your CDL license.
Yes, ma'am.
You're working for performance contractors.
Yes, ma'am.
For at least 10 years, correct?
Actually, it's 14 years now.
14 years.
I'm at work now. That's why I didn't appear in front of you guys. I asked the corporate manager if I could step to my company truck and do the interview over Zoom.
And married with 3 children.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the reasons that you mentioned as to why you would want to get your firearm is to take your children hunting. Is that correct?
That was one of the, no, hunting, no, did I put that in there?
I don't know, maybe I'll read it,
No.
so maybe I misread. I see that you have three,
Three
children,
boys.
14, 6. You have twins?
Twins, that's me. Now they're 10 now, and my oldest is 18.
How about that?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So yes, now I remember you said at the beginning, it was for self-protection that you
Yeah,
wanted to.
yeah, self-protection, and yes, ma'am, and also,
And
like
your
I said,
family carries guns in their cars because
yes,
they have
ma'am,
the right to do
my
so.
wife at times, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you never had a drug problem, never had an alcohol problem.
No, ma'am.
Y'all were trash talking and you took it serious and went a step too far.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And really got off light. You know that, right? With the
Correct.
sentence that you got and everything like that. So that's all I have.
I don't have any questions.
Any other questions?
How much time did you serve?
I served 4 years and 3 months, sir.
4 years and 3 months. Where?
And it was West Carroll Parish Detention Center. I think it was in Epps, Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken.
That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Taylor, I don't see any other questions, so I think the board is prepared to vote. Mrs. Stapleton?
Based upon the lack of law enforcement comment, and the one that did was the DA and your victim, and they don't have any problem with restoration of a full pardon, but without restoration of firearms. I'm gonna grant that. And yay you, it's been 24 years, since this happened, and so clearly you turned your life around. You didn't continue down that road.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tillis?
I concur.
So that's pardon without.
Pardon without,
yeah.
firearm.
Mr. Prater?
Yes, I think with the victim statement and the DA statement, so I concur, pardon without restoration.
Mr. Freeman?
I also concur.
All right, Mr. Taylor, so you've gotten favorable vote this today, but it's a pardon without the restoration of firearms. So you didn't get everything you asked for, but that's a big deal. So good luck to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Jeremy.
Hello. Hey.
Jackie.
Yes, ma'am.
Did they give you a time?
No, just that text message. That's all I got.
Yeah, with your name on it, the little block.
Yes, ma'am. They just sent me a text message that said, I think it said 8:30, but.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You doing all right this morning?
All right, good morning. We are ready for our next case. Mr. Jeremy HAWS. Good morning, sir. I think you're on mute.
Good morning.
Okay. Would you introduce yourself, Mr. HAWS? Tell us your name and your current mailing address.
Jeremy Halls, HAWS, and it's 1515 Linton Road, Benton, Louisiana, 71006.
Thank you. And you have your counsel here with you on Zoom. Would you introduce yourself for the record? Ms. Scott, your camera has frozen on us.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can. There you go. Would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, for the record, Jacqueline Scott, 401 Hamilton Road, Suite 110, Bossier City, Louisiana, 71111. I represent Mr. Halls.
Thank you, ma'am. And we're having some trouble with your camera. We cannot see you.
There we go.
There you go. Now we got it. Okay.
Okay.
So, Ms. Scott and Mr. Halls, let me introduce the pardon board members to you. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my far left is Mr. Tillis. To my immediate left is Mr. Prater. To my immediate right is Mr. Freeman. And to my far right is Mrs. Stapleton. First, I'll read some identifying information, Mr. Halls, into the record, ask you to verify it for me. And then we'd like for you to tell us why you submitted your application. Why do you think we should vote favorably for you today? Then we'll ask Ms. Scott to present that case also, and then we'll begin our interview process with you. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Prater, so he'll take the lead on that. You ready to go?
Yes.
All right, so Mr. Halls, you're here today to submit an application seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms. You were sentenced in the 26th Judicial District and the 1st Judicial District, that's Bossier and Caddo. Possession of Xanax on May 28, 2013. You received a 5-year hard labor sentence that was suspended. You were placed on 2 years probation. And then in September 2006, simple arson, you received a 4-year probation sentence. Is all that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Mr. Halls, tell us why are you seeking a pardon with restoration of firearms?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for letting me be here. And I just want to say I'm sorry for all the bad choices I made in my younger life. I grew up going to the woods and go hunting with my grandpa and target practice with my friends, shooting skeet. And, for my bad choices, I got that taken away from me. And I have 4 children and I would love to, teach and take them hunting, gun safety, target practice. I've been away most of their life working in the oil field. I'm going on 15 years and I would love to have that hobby back, bond more with my children, especially the boys, and get them away from them electronics. I've made some bad choices in my life, but I'm not that man anymore. I'm grown up now. I'm married with 4 children. I bought a nice house. I have some rent houses. I'm still clean from when I got out of Rayville recovery. I get random drug screens from work, and I'm still employed, and I've been here since 2016. And I'm ready to close this chapter of my life and put it behind me.
Sir, Ms. Scott, we'd like to hear from you now.
Yes. Yes. Again, Jacqueline Scott, and I worked with Mr. Halls, and we know that he was on probation, and we know that probation is not a right, it's a privilege. Having gone through the probationary period, having reformed his life, he's in a position with his job, and he's wanting to move on, and he's asking the board to allow him to be able to have to hunt. And as he stated, I believe in him. I know him, and I know that he will be an exemplary citizen and use the gun. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, we hear you.
And so I am advocating that he be allowed to, he's done as he stated, as a young child, more than 10 years ago, he committed an offense, which he's very remorse about. And now he has moved on with his life and would like to be able to interact with his kids in the appropriate way. And I'm requesting that the board consider his application and that he be allowed to have a firearm. The charges, and not to depreciate the seriousness of this charge, it is serious, but it's more than 10 years. And so that the crime that he committed was upon himself as well as the public, and he's very remorseful, and I'm asking that he be allowed to have a weapon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Mr. Hawes, would you answer Mr. Prater's questions, please, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Jeremy, how much dope were you arrested with?
I had 2 Xanax pills.
2 pills.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And tell me about this hunting business. We get people all the time and they say, I want to go hunting with my kids and I want to go hunting with this. And we don't have any idea what kind of hunting you want to do.
I mean, I used to deer hunt. I used to squirrel hunt. I've dove hunt. I've never duck hunted, but I do. I have friends that do that, and I would love to get into that. But I would love to teach my kids. I mean, I was growing up hunting, so I would love to do the same and teach my kids, hunting, especially hunting in target practice. I mean, target practice is another fun, skeet shooting. I would love to teach my kids that.
Okay, and you've been employed with the same company for how long?
I've been employed since 2016.
Okay. Have you ever been arrested for a violent crime?
No, sir.
Okay. That's all I got.
All right. Any other questions?
How old are your children, sir?
We have one that's about to be 3, 8. I have a little boy that's about to be 3. I have a girl that's 8. I have another girl that's 13, and I have an older son that's 14.
Yeah, a perfect age to horses in paradise. They wouldn't want to go hunting with their daddy. Let me ask you something. The gun that was in the car at the traffic stop, who did that gun belong to?
Me?
Oh, it was yours.
Yes, ma'am.
So you were a felon in possession of a firearm?
No, ma'am.
You weren't convicted yet. So
Right. I was legal to carry the gun. I got caught with 2 Xanax with my legal gun.
That's what it was. With
He just told the cop he had it.
Oh, well, good for you. Okay.
Yes, I forfeited that gun to them.
Okay. So you did the right thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, that was my question.
So, Mr. Hawes, are you married?
Yes, ma'am.
To the mother of your children?
Yes, ma'am. Well, so my 8-year-old, I adopted her. She had when we got married, she's never seen her dad. So I actually adopted her last year. And my 14-year-old is my stepson, and his father passed away 2 years ago, and I'm working on adopting him. But my 3-year-old is with my current wife, and my 13-year-old daughter is with another mom.
And she lives with you?
I have full custody of her. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, good for them. Good for you. Good for you. Good for them. All right, I think we are prepared to vote. Mr. Prater?
Yes, ma'am. I vote for pardon with restoration of firearms.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur. I vote for pardon with restoration of firearms.
Mrs. Stapleton?
I concur. Pardon with restoration of firearms.
Mr. Tillis?
I concur.
All right, so I do also concur, Mr. Hawes, my vote is the same, so on your behalf, we'll make that recommendation to Governor Land. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so very much.
Thank you for calling Language Line Solutions. This is Charlie 2188894, your Spanish interpreter, proud to serve you.
Hello. ¿Sí me escucha?
Sí, señor, estoy esperando nada más a un representante.
Ok,
Le habla el intérprete de español para servirle.
ok, mucho gusto. ¿Sí me ve bien ahí?
Sí.
Ok. No, yo no sé que no se vea mi cara. Ahí.
All right, good morning. We are ready for our next case, and that's Mr. Acosta. Mr. Acosta,
Yes.
would you tell us your name and your current mailing address?
Luis,
Let me first introduce Mr. Andres. Carlos Andres is serving as interpreter today. Mr. Charlie, would you introduce yourself for the record?
Certainly. This is Charlie 2188894, your Language Line Solutions, Spanish interpreter today, proud to serve you. And should I introduce myself again to Mr. Acosta?
Yes.
Certainly. Señor Acosta, nuevamente me presento con usted como su intérprete de español en esta sesión. The interpreter is ready. Should I ask for the name and mailing address?
Yes.
Absolutely. Señor Acosta, ¿cuál es su nombre completo, por favor?
Luis Miguel Troche Acosta,
Gracias. ¿Cuál es su dirección donde recibe usted la correspondencia?
917 North Carlton Avenue, Liberal, Kansas, 67901.
Luis Miguel Troche Acosta, 917 North Carlton Avenue, Liberal, Kansas, 67901.
Thank you. And we want to acknowledge that Mr. Acosta's wife is there with Mr. Acosta, and we'll ask for her comments at the appropriate time.
Okay.
Agradecemos, señora Acosta, y queremos hacer constar que la esposa de usted se encuentra presente con usted en este instante y que en su debido momento hará su participación.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to read some information into the record, and I'd like for Mr. Acosta to verify that it's correct. Is Mr. Spano here with us?
En estos momentos me dispongo a leer cierta información que vamos a capturar en el acta y grabación y que me va a hacer el favor usted, señora Acosta, de verificar si es correcta o no.
Okay. First, Charlie, would you ask him, is he expecting Mr. Spano as his lawyer?
Can I have the name of the lawyer again?
Spano, S-P-A-N-O.
Thank you. Perdón si pronuncio mal el nombre de su abogado, pero señora Acosta, ¿está usted esperando que se presente su abogado, el señor Sena?
Yes, sí.
Yes.
Okay, let me check to see where he is. Stand by.
We're trying to get him logged in now.
We're trying to get him logged in, so we'll just stand by till he joins the Zoom.
Estamos tratando de localizar a su abogado. Por favor, continúe conectado en la plataforma Zoom en lo que localizamos a su abogado.
Okay.
Oh.
Hello? Yeah, they just.
¿Y de seguro se la van a mandar ahora?
The attorney said he's waiting to be admitted.
Yes, we're trying to admit him now. We'll be there in just a moment.
Okay, thank you.
He's in. He's in.
We're green.
Mr. Spano? Showing he's in?
Are you sure that's?
Is he on audio?
Sure that's.
They got me.
Good morning.
All right, good morning.
All
Thank
right, sorry about that. They had a little trouble connecting me.
you. Well, we've done, Mr. Spano, we've,
I heard I was on the YouTube, so I'm
okay, good.
caught up with where you guys are. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, Charlie, I'm going to read the information and ask Mr. Acosta to verify. He has applied for a pardon with restoration of firearms. He was sentenced in Lafayette Parish, September 2013, possession of cocaine, received a 5-year sentence. That was suspended, and he was placed on 3 years probation. Is that correct? You're on mute, Charlie.
My apologies. Can the interpreter kindly request a repetition of that information, but one segment at a time or sentence, if you don't mind? Thank you very much, Your Honor.
He has applied for a pardon with restoration of firearm.
Restoration of what? I'm sorry?
Firearm. Firearm, a gun, firearm.
Thank you. Firearm. Sentence in September 2013.
Yes,
A 5-year sentence.
yes.
What am I missing?
Possession of cocaine.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your patience. Nos encontramos presentes el día de hoy. Si puede usted verificar, señor Troche Acosta, lo que se va a estipular a continuación. Nos encontramos presentes para un perdón con restauración también de un arma de fuego, donde usted recibió una sentencia en el mes de septiembre de 2013, sentencia dictada para 5 años por posesión de cocaína. Thank you. The interpreter is ready.
Yes.
Did he verify that information is correct?
¿Ha verificado entonces que sí es correcta esta información?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. First, Mr. Spano, I'll ask you.
Sure.
At this point, we usually ask the applicant why they are seeking a pardon, what relief they want, and why do they think they deserve favorable consideration. So would you rather present that? Or
Yeah, I think I can kind of be a little brief with it. And I would say one thing before we get into that. I did speak with Mr. Acosta this morning, and he's not seeking restoration of his gun rights. I had a discussion with him about that, and he's not a hunter or, doesn't really express a need for it. And that was probably my fault when I filled out the application.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Acosta was born and raised in Cuba, and through circumstances at no fault of his own, he immigrated to the United States when he was very young, I think in his early 20s. His father had been a political prisoner of the communist regime there. He had been in prison twice, the last time for trying to leave the country. As a result of that, they were, ostracized by the government. His father was imprisoned, and his mother had to raise, kids on their own. And unlike here, they don't feed the prisoners there, and she had to supply food. It was a very, very difficult situation for the family. At age 19 in 2009, he was able to immigrate to the United States, and he was living in Oklahoma at the time as a young man. And as he, kind of conveyed to me, coming from Cuba, where they were desperately poor and no freedoms, and there's not a lot of goods and all the things we take for granted here in the United States, even in the poorest of places, they just didn't have there. And I think he was a bit wide-eyed, and being young, he allowed himself to make some really bad, immature choices, which led to his arrest in Lafayette. He had been working, or rather living in Oklahoma, and ended up moving to Lafayette, and some people had expressed, hey, we have some friends down there, and, get you a job. Turned out it was, dealing drugs on a small street level. And he was arrested for that. He was actually arrested for 3 charges. He pled guilty to just simple possession of cocaine. And luckily for him, he didn't get a prison sentence. He was allowed to serve a probation sentence, which he served exceptionally well. He was, I think, released after about a year. Did his community service, did all the things that was required of him, and ended up moving back to Oklahoma. So he's married, and I want to say he was married right after this event. And I could tell the pardon board, he hasn't been in any trouble since this time. He's done very well for himself. He's married to a wonderful woman. They have a child. They've actually raised her 2 children from a previous marriage as well. He works in the trucking industry, and he, over the years, has saved his money, and he now has his own trucking company where he works. His wife works with him. And I want to say he's got 5 trucks, so he's probably employing a few other people as well. And I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of a regional trucking company in the area. So he's an upstanding member of his community. He's a member of the church. He hasn't gotten in any more trouble. My discussions with him, he understands that. And this gets to the reason why is he applying for clemency, because he was a permanent resident alien. He was ordered deported. That's the federal law. Conviction for a drug crime. And so he is under an order of deportation, and has been since probably 2014. Every year he has to report, and does report, to let them know where he's living and what he's doing. For whatever reason, they haven't deported him. I suspect it's because it's Cuba, and they're just not deporting people to Cuba, and they're not going to send Cubans to Venezuela or whatever other country might take unwanted aliens. He would like to have this cloud removed off of him. He's made his life here. He wants to remain here. He's obviously doing well for himself with a family and his own business. So I know it's a little long-winded, but that's the A to Z of why he's here before the board today.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Before we get started, would you, well, I guess you did. I don't guess we need any further information on the immigration status. That's just a permanent.
No, ma'am. Yeah, it's in that stage where he's under an order of deportation, and every year he holds his breath that he won't be deported. So,
And if we pardon him, does that status change?
well, he'll have to go before the Immigration and Naturalization Board. But I do believe, I'm not an immigration attorney, but I do believe that they have the ability to reopen that and change that ruling. And if they do that, he will seek naturalization is, I believe, the word, citizenship, naturalization, become a full-fledged American citizen, which is his desire.
I'm sorry to speak out of turn. Do you need the interpreter to translate this interaction or the attorney's appearance to Mr. Acosta?
Yes, we'll ask, well, let's ask him. Does he need interpretation for that?
Judge,
okay.
Yeah, he's good on that. He understands what I'm saying.
All right, okay. I thought so. Thank you. And thank you, Charlie. So, could we hear from Anna?
Te pide la comparecencia de la señora Ana.
Yes, I would like to speak on his behalf and basically say he has been a great husband, a good provider. Like Mr. Rhett said, he's worked hard. We saved our money. We opened a trucking company. We have 5 trucks and 7 trailers. We have a relationship with one of the shippers, which is National Beef, who we ship for. And so, yeah, I would like that removed as well so that we don't have that over our heads, whether he's going to be deported, I'm going to be left on my own to run this company, because he does participate a lot in that. It's like, you know, a partnership here. So he knows mostly about it, and I just, you know, help him run it, invoice and get the loads, but he knows mostly about trucks and all that. So that's basically it.
All right, thank you. Is there anything Lewis would like to say to us?
¿Hay algo más que desea agregar usted, señor Luis?
No. No?
No.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Stapleton.
How are y'all doing? Make a lovely couple. So I'm listening to everything that you're saying. And you've done a really good job with your life. I'm sorry that you're in this position.
Thank you.
Country and everything. But it seems like you're caught up in federal laws, what it looks like to me.
I'm sorry, could you?
Caught up in federal law, the deportation to Cuba, and the only thing that's stopping it really is that Cuba is not taking USA residents. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, and I don't have any information to verify. It's just my intuition. I guess I would say that they're not. I probably read that someplace years ago, but that's probably the reason why.
I'm reading, and it says that on January 2016, a final deportation order was issued. However, since Cuba is not accepting individuals from the United States, he remains on supervision with ICE. And you last reported to ICE, it says 2021, in Kansas as a permanent resident alien. Is that correct?
That's my. I'm sorry, would you want him to respond to that?
Well, can he understand me? I know his wife can't hear. You spoke fluently just now. Is your husband able to understand?
He understands, but he doesn't speak it as well.
Okay.
But I'm very fluent in it. He checks in every year here at Wichita, Kansas, where we live, since he's on supervision. So every year we go, you know, with our fingers crossed whether they're going to decide to deport him or not.
Understand. And he is under the supervision of ICE, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and so I see where there was a court ruling, the court responded in 2016 that he did not appear to be eligible for any form of relief. Respondent agreed to a removal order and waived appeal. Thus, the new hardship evidence is not material as it does not establish any new relief or that the outcome of the reopening hearing, the opened hearing would be any different. Is that where y'all are at? There's just nothing more you can do?
No,
Not at this time. That's correct.
yeah, because of this being on still this felony, this charge, that's why there's no relief. So if we get this pardon and it's, you know, pardoned by the governor, then ICE would have to remove that deportation because he wouldn't have this charge on his record anymore.
Would they have to remove it or would they have to consider it because it'd have to go through the court system
Yeah,
again?
it would have to go, yeah, correct. We would have to get an attorney for immigration and go through that.
Okay, so it would cause it to be reopened because circumstances have changed.
Yes, correct, correct.
And I see, you know, really, I don't have any more questions. I think that in my mind, that's what our big ball of wax is right now. Okay, somebody else might have something.
I do have a question. What is the charge from 10/27/15? Theft by property of check. That was the issuing a worthless check. What was that charge?
El cargo que tuviste en Dumas cuando hiciste. There was a check that he wrote, I believe, that had no funds.
Okay. It's fine. Pled guilty order, 33 days. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'm very sorry to speak out of turn. When the interpreter is needed, I would really appreciate it when that someone would let me know. Carlos, this is for you. I would very much appreciate it. That's why I'm silent. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Another question. All right, hearing.
Before we vote, I want to do the executive order.
We have a motion by Mrs. Stapleton for executive session to discuss confidential matters. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Freeman. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Knopf,
Yes.
Ms. Stapleton,
Yes.
Mr. Tillman,
Yes.
Mr. Prater,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman.
Yes.
All right. Would you inform Mr. Acosta that we'll be in executive session to discuss confidential matters? We'll be right back.
En un momento más regresamos, señora Acosta. En este momento entramos en sesión de esta junta para poder analizar ciertas cuestiones confidenciales.
Ok, gracias.
Thank you.
Hey, so they're going to come back and give us their response. Okay, so whatever.
I make a motion that we, go back in session and come out of an executive session.
We have a second.
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Freeman, second by Mr. Tillis, that we come out of executive session, resume regular session. Is there any objection? All right, it is 10:54 and we're back in regular session. You want to explain all that, Charlie?
Certainly. Can we, I'm sorry, I've been trained to not miss one single word. Can we repeat that?
Just
Introduction.
tell him we are back in regular session.
Absolutely. Se le informa, señora Acosta, que volvemos nuevamente a entrar en sesión después de este receso.
Okay.
And we are prepared to vote. Charlie, tell him
Y,
that.
y estamos listos también para proceder ya.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Stapleton.
Mr. Acosta, my vote today is going to be to grant based upon, without the restoration of firearms. Without the restoration of firearms, to grant the pardon with no restoration of firearms.
Se le informa, señor Acosta, que se vamos a proceder a concederle u otorgarles el perdón, sin embargo, sin restituirle su derecho a portar o contar con permiso para arma de fuego.
Okay.
Mr. Tillis.
I concur. Without firearms. I grant without firearms.
Mr. Prater.
Yes, I want to make a statement. I think that it's important that anybody that's might be watching this understands what the board is.
Yes.
What we talked about. This man, it's not a simple case of what you hear on the news these days about somebody coming into our country. This man came in legally and he's been here legally. He has set up a company. He's remorseful for what this drug offense was. It's been quite some time. He's employing people here and paying tax money. And so it's not a case of anyway, having explained all that, I will vote to pardon without restoration of firearms. Thank you.
Pregunta a la señorita Cheryl cómo procede el señor Silas y Prater, y los dos están de acuerdo en otorgar el perdón. El señor Prater desea agregar también que hay que explicar de qué manera está procediendo la Junta para poder otorgar este perdón el día de hoy, aclarando que para empezar, el caballero con el que estamos lidiando o atendiendo el día de hoy es un caso diferente a lo que normalmente se escucha hoy en día, dado que es una persona que entró a este país de manera legal, de manera lícita, y que ha permanecido. Su estancia ha sido lícita también en este lugar y que ya él ha mostrado arrepentimiento por este delito, esta falta administrativa o delito cometido, que es por posesión de droga. Es una persona que ha estado pagando impuestos, que es una persona cumplida y que por lo tanto en este caso no tengo ningún inconveniente en otorgarle tampoco también el perdón, sin la restitución de su permiso para portar arma.
Okay.
I concur. Pardon without restoration of firearms.
El señor Pete Freeman también dice que está de acuerdo en el otorgamiento del perdón, siempre y cuando no se le restituya el derecho para contar con arma de fuego.
Okay.
And I also vote the same, pardon without restoration of firearms. So we will make that recommendation on behalf of Mr. Acosta to the governor.
Muy bien, y por último, la señorita Cheryl también hace constar que está de acuerdo en otorgarle el perdón sin la restitución del derecho a portar arma o contar con arma de fuego. Todo en representación de, sí, de la Junta. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much to all the members of the board. Appreciate it.
I want to say thank you.
All right. Well,
Please.
thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
That's all for the interpreter. Thank you very much for using our services. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Interpreter is connecting. Thank you.
¿Se conectó ahora? Sí.
All right, the pardon board is reconvening at Ouachita Parish Jail. Today is Monday, November 18, 2024. It's 11:09 a.m. And would the staff there at Ouachita please introduce yourself for the record?
Good morning, it's Deputy Marchand.
Thanks for accommodating us again
The pardon
today.
board
is reconvening at Ouachita Parish Jail. So we got some back somewhere. Does somebody have the YouTube playing also?
Please turn off the YouTube.
All right. Mr. Otis, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number.
Anthony Otis, 494984.
All right. And let me introduce the pardon board to you. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my far left is Mr. Chucky Tillis. To my immediate left, Mr. Steve Prater. To my immediate right is Mr. Pete Freeman. My far right is Mrs. Carolyn Stapleton. I want to acknowledge that we also have your mother, Ms. Grayson, on the line with us on Zoom. She'll be speaking. We'll call on her at the appropriate time. First, Mr. Otis, I'm going to read some identifying information into the record and ask you to confirm if it's correct.
Yes.
Then we'd like for you to tell us why you applied for a clemency and why do you think we should vote favorably for you today. Then we'll hear from your mother. Then your case has been assigned to Mr. Tillis. He'll take the lead on the interview questions. Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Otis, you are seeking a commutation of your sentence. You're currently serving a 21-year sentence. You were sentenced in Richland Parish for a manslaughter conviction. You have a good time release date of July 22nd, 2027. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So tell us why you're seeking a commutation of your sentence.
Well, originally I was seeking commutation because I was ineligible for parole early on in my because I was considered a third offender. I was told I was ineligible for parole, but after I applied for clemency and a PSI was done on me, it came back that I wasn't a third offender. I was a second offender, and I was eligible for parole. So initially, that's why I applied for clemency. But also, I applied to just to try to get back to my family as soon as possible. The law allows the clemency process. So I'm attempting to take advantage of the law. Most of my life, I've been chucking rocks at the penitentiary, and the law's been working against me. So I'm trying to see if the law can work for me in this case.
So I see your parole date is July 16 of 2028, but your good time date is prior to that in 2027. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, because the parole date is actually a percentage of your full term date.
Right. So tell us, so you've told us why. Now tell us, why do you think we should vote favorable for you?
Well, for any of you that know anything about the penal system, being sentenced to prison doesn't actually rehabilitate you. It only removes you from society. If you don't decide for yourself to become a better person, you're not going to become a better person. Since I've received this sentence and been here, I've decided for myself to make myself a better person. So since I've been able to, I've been attempting to become that person. Prior to me coming to jail, I was lazy. I was incompetent. I wasn't a good person. I didn't want to work. I was just lazy. I was a typical young man that didn't want to do anything. Since being here, I've gained trades. I've gained a degree. I've gained responsibility. I've grown older, so with age, a lot of the fire leave you that you have when a lot of the fire from youth that you had, and the ability, and the willingness to break the law, it leaves you when you become aged. I no longer have the desire to break the law. I believe I know I can be a productive citizen. And at the moment, I'm currently in a work release program. I've been here for a year and a half, and I work 12 to 14 hours a day. So Only time I'm in jail is actually to bathe and sleep. So I work 12 to 14 hours a day as a welder as of right now.
Sir, did we hear from Miss Grayson?
Yes, I'm his mother, Yvonne Grayson. I have 5 kids. He has 5 kids. I've done my best to replace him in all aspects with his children. At this point, with my advancing age and his dad's sickness and advancing age and disability, I feel like if he come home, he could be a help to me financially, physically. We're a close-knit family with love. I pray that he can come home soon. He has kids from age 13 to 22. This is an age a father needs to be with his kids. And if that's at all possible, I would greatly appreciate it. I think the time he served, he has learned. And I believe in God, and with prayer, all things are possible. And I think he feel like he paid his price for what he's done. So if it's at all possible, we would greatly appreciate him coming home with his family.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Deputy Marshawn, is there anything you can tell us about Mr. Otis?
No, ma'am, other than he is highly recommended by Mr. Bobby Johnson, our work release director, and he has no write-ups that I can find on our record. And as far as I know, everybody here likes Mr. Wiley.
All right, thank you. Would you answer Mr. Tillis' questions, Mr. Otis?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Parisha. I'm sorry, we'll hear from her first. I apologize.
Hello.
Ma'am.
Yes, I'm Caricia Otis. I'm Mr. Otis's wife. And I would just like to say that he's an exceptional husband, father, friend, and he has made such progress. I love the change that I've seen in him. Him becoming a certified welder speaks volume. It has spoke so much volume to myself and to our children. And we would love to have him come home really soon. He's a person of principles and values, and we miss all that. We miss his advice. We miss his physical touch. We miss his presence. And that's all I'd like to say.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Tillis.
How you doing, Mr. Anthony?
Doing just fine, sir.
How much time have you served?
A little over 14 years now.
Your role, tell me about what happened.
Well, I was involved in a planned burglary that subsequently turned into a home invasion that ended with the homicide of a Rayville police officer, Officer Thomas Alexander.
What was your role?
I actually dropped the people that committed the crime. I actually dropped them off half a mile away from the place where it took place.
I see. So, and just as you just said, you all planned this.
Yes, sir. It was planned. I can't say an unwilling participant. I was a participant, and I knew that my 2 co-defendants may have had nefarious intentions, but I didn't ask and they didn't tell. But that still made me a likely participant because I didn't ask.
Yeah. So I guess you made a choice that wasn't really wise, and I've read where you just about taken a lot of classes and everything to better yourself.
Yes, sir. I've taken so many classes that they refuse to put me in anymore. I actually also proceeded to teach some of those classes also until I went to work release. Once I became eligible for work release, I entered the work release program and started working as a welder. I actually went through the welding program through the Department of Corrections, who was teamed up with Delta Community College, and I went through the program, completed the program. I'm one of the first participants that actually went to work release and actually working in the profession, and I have been for a year and a half now.
So what are your plans if once you get out?
I'm actually in the area where I'm from, so I continue. If released, I'm going to continue to work at the same job I'm on, and you know, try to be a benefit to my parents, to my family, and to my community.
I see. And there was 3 of you, and you guys planned this. I have no more questions.
Let me ask, I have a couple of questions. I see where you were awarded 525 days of good time credit. So you have been busy and you have been taking plenty of programs. Was victim awareness any of the programs you took?
No, ma'am. Victim awareness is not currently available at this facility. I've taken on anger management, substance abuse, parenting. The classes that were available in regards to my current charge, I've taken what was available to me, ma'am.
So you need to be aware there is significant opposition to an early release for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Or you know, any relief by the judge, the district attorney, the sheriff's office, chief of police, and there's very strong victim opposition. They believe you received a fair sentence for taking the life of their loved one. So if you could speak to the victim's family, which you can't, you prohibited, but
yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you would say to them.
I would just like to apologize for my role in the untimely demise of their loved ones. Like I said, I accepted responsibility and I accepted the plea agreement, so I accepted the sentence. Did I feel it was a lot? I do feel like it was excessive, but as a man, I take responsibility for my actions. So regardless of how I feel like I mean, like I said, I accepted my role in it. I'm not the person responsible for taking their loved one's life, but I was involved in it. Ultimately, that led to it. And I like to apologize and ask for their forgiveness if they have the kindness in their heart to forgive me. I have to deal with it myself, and I ask the Lord for forgiveness for myself, and I'm just trying to move past it.
Okay. Any other questions?
How much money you have in your account? How much have you saved since you've been welding?
About 25,000.
Okay, have you been sending some home to your wife to help out with the kids?
They currently don't allow us to send money home, only $200 a month.
Wow. We gotta look into them rules. Okay, that's all the questions I have.
All right, I don't see any other questions, so I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Tilley?
After going through your case and looking at the seriousness of this crime, and I see you've really done some good things to better yourself, and I hope you continue, but you've served 14 years of a 21-year sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And I only have about 24 months before my earliest release date. So it's not like I have a significant amount of time remaining. And like I said, I'm already in work release. I'm already I work 12 to 14 hours a day. The only time I'm at the jail is the sleep and shower.
Yeah. My decision today is to deny. And I wish you well. I wish I could do better for you, but considering the seriousness of this matter, and you admit that you planned this So I'm gonna have to deny it.
Mr. Prater?
Yes, I deny, my vote is to deny also. I applaud you for what you've taken advantage of the training and all that, but it seems like you're the winner. State and DOC has trained you in a profession and you got a bunch of more money than a lot of people have, and you got a career now thanks to this jail sentence. And so I think you've come out as good as you could with the situation being locked up, but deny is my vote.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur. I also vote to deny. You have a very long criminal history with lots of violence. So my vote today is to deny.
Ms. Stapleton?
My vote today is denied because I saw the same things that Mr. Freeman did, that you had a domestic violence charge, simple battery, forgery, drugs, all before this ever happened. You had all of that. So it was a long criminal history. And you have been fortunate. You've taken advantage of a good program, welding. You will be able to get a good job, no doubt about it. And then you're in a good place to start your life over with 25,000 in the bank. So, but there's a police officer dead, and there's families behind all of that their lives are forever altered. They will never be able to pick up the pieces and move forward in most cases. Some will, but in most cases, there'll always be an empty place at the dinner table. So I wish you well. You've done well with your time, but I do remember that we have police officers.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Otis, you've received 4 votes to deny your application today. I do agree and concur with that vote. My vote also is to deny based on the very strong opposition that's been expressed, and as well as the plea agreement you made to. You agreed to that sentence. And fortunately, though, you have a good time date, which is not too far away. So good luck to you, sir. I wish you well. Today, the application's been denied. Deputy Marchand, thanks for accommodating us today. We appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have one more case on our docket today, Jeffrey Simmons out of East Baton Rouge Parish. He has not signed in. We have not been able to reach him, so we're going to remove him from today's docket, and so we will adjourn at 11:27.